Panthers Nation, brace yourselves because a massive bombshell just dropped in the Queen City, and it changes absolutely everything for our defense. A devastating blow hit the roster, but an unexpected hero is ready to step up and completely shock the league. You will not believe who is stepping into the spotlight to save our season and bring the heat. Before I reveal this insane twist, you need to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel right now. Show that keep pounding spirit and join the best community on the internet today. The Carolina Panthers face a significant hurdle to start the 2026 season following the news that promising young edge rusher Nic Scourton will miss the entire campaign after suffering a torn ACL on the first day of training camp. This is a devastating blow for a franchise that has struggled to generate a consistent pass rush for years, dating back to 2023 when we finished with a league-low 27 sacks. We were banking on Scourton to pair with newcomer Jaelan Phillips to form a dynamic duo off the edge, but those plans are now sidelined. Let's be real, our track record of chasing down opposing signal callers has been abysmal, and the loss of a talent who improved weekly to tie for the team lead with 5 sacks last year stings deeply. The fan base is understandably anxious because our defensive identity under coordinator Ejiro Evero has been hindered by our inability to pressure the pocket. While the loss of Scourton is a major setback, our focus must shift to the internal potential of Princely Umanmielen. Jaelan Phillips is already labeled the 6'4", 244-pounder the best natural pass rusher on the roster, which gives us some shred of optimism. Umanmielen saw only 22% of defensive snaps last year, but that limited role is certain to expand significantly now that our depth is tested. With the return of Patrick Jones II and the addition of Devin Lloyd, we have bodies on the field, but can this group finally elevate our defensive efficiency beyond the basement of the league? Or are we destined for another year of stagnant pressure? The most pressing reality for our defense is that Princely Umanmielen is now arguably the primary catalyst for a pass rush that has historically struggled to find its footing. We are looking at a pivotal shift because the sudden loss of Nic Scourton to a torn ACL on the first day of training camp completely dismantled the front office strategy to deploy a dual-threat edge attack. While Scourton was expected to anchor that rotation alongside Jaelan Phillips, we now must rely on a depth chart that includes the return of Cam Gill and the pass-rushing versatility of free agent addition Devin Lloyd to bridge the gap. What makes this even bigger is that internal sentiment already favors Umanmielen, as Jaelan Phillips has publicly identified him as the most natural pass rusher on the entire roster. During his 2025 rookie season, Umanmielen saw limited action with only 222 defensive snaps, but his collegiate production at Florida and Ole Miss, where he tallied 38.0 sacks across 57 games, suggests he is far more than a developmental project. The coaching staff, led by Dave Canales, is likely operating under the assumption that they must accelerate his transition to a primary role immediately to avoid another season mired in the bottom tier of league sack totals. Historically, we have seen this team struggle to generate pressure with just 89 sacks over the last 3 seasons, proving that relying on past blueprints is no longer a viable option. As Carolina Panthers fans, we are watching a young talent being thrust into a starting spotlight years ahead of the original, more cautious schedule. So that is the status of our defensive front, but we must look beyond the roster numbers to understand the broader implications for this season. Here is where it gets interesting as we analyze the gravity of these sudden personnel changes. The stakes are incredibly high because Carolina has struggled to pressure opposing quarterbacks for years, and losing a rising talent like Nic Scourton on the first day of training camp creates an immediate void in our pass-rushing rotation. This puts immense pressure on Princely Umanmielen to translate his collegiate production to the professional level much sooner than anticipated. With only 222 defensive snaps played last year, he must now step into a featured role alongside Jaelan Phillips. The loss of Scourton forces the coaching staff to rely on depth pieces like Cam Gill and the versatile Devin Lloyd to stabilize a unit that has consistently ranked near the bottom of the league in sacks. This shift changes our outlook for upcoming matchups, as we no longer have the luxury of a deep, rotation-heavy edge group to wear down opposing offensive lines during 4-quarter battles. If our defense cannot find a way to consistently reach the quarterback, our chances of contending for a playoff spot against our division rivals become significantly more difficult to manage. We are effectively betting on the development of a young player to fix a systemic problem that has hindered this franchise since 2023. The upcoming schedule will prove whether this gamble pays off or if the lack of a proven, healthy edge threat leaves our secondary vulnerable throughout the heart of the 2026 campaign. The sudden loss of Nic Scourton to a torn ACL is a crushing blow for a franchise that has struggled for years to generate a consistent pass rush. The strongest argument for optimism lies in the potential emergence of Princely Umanmielen. With 38.0 sacks during his collegiate career and high praise from Jalen Phillips, who calls him the best natural pass rusher on the roster, the pieces for a breakout season are certainly present. And this is the part that gets me. The team is banking on a young player with only 22% of defensive snaps last season to suddenly anchor an entire unit. The risk is significant because if Umanmielen fails to handle a larger workload, this defense could once again find itself at the bottom of the league in sacks, just as it has for the past 3 campaigns. Media voices like Joe Person have highlighted the high expectations placed on this group, while observers at FanFest have noted how Umanmielen has been chasing the ball all over the field since camp began. Beyond his development, the organization is counting on the health of Patrick Jones II and the versatility of Devin Lloyd to stabilize the rotation. Here is where I land on this. While the excitement surrounding Umanmielen is palpable, expecting him to fill the massive void left by Scourton and carry the unit feels like an optimistic gamble rather than a proven strategy. We have seen this team chase solutions in free agency and the draft for years, yet the production has remained elusive. I believe we need to see actual results on the field before we trust this pass rush. When we combine the persistent struggle to pressure the quarterback with the unfortunate training camp injury to Nic Scourton, the path ahead for the Carolina Panthers becomes a test of depth and internal development. This is where it gets real for a franchise that has occupied the league basement in sacks for 3 consecutive seasons. Over the next few years, the organization must transition from relying on high-priced free agents to cultivating a homegrown pass rush that can sustain pressure without needing constant roster churn. As fans, we should feel cautiously optimistic because players like Princely Umanmielen finally have the opportunity to prove their worth after a rookie season spent limited to only 222 defensive snaps. His impressive collegiate record of 38.0 sacks suggests he possesses the natural instincts this team has been missing. While losing Scourton is a blow to our depth, the presence of veterans like Jalen Phillips and the infusion of talent like Devin Lloyd provide a foundation for improvement. We have seen flashes of intensity at FanFest, and that energy must now translate to consistent production on Sundays. If our younger defensive linemen can step up and mirror the disruptive potential we know is on this roster, we may finally escape the league-low sack totals that have haunted Dave Canales and this defense. Looking at the current defensive line rotation, do you believe Princely Umanmielen will record more than 8 sacks during the 2026 regular season? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Keep pounding. I'll see you in the next one.